Okay, thank you both for joining us. You're both sort of interesting figures here. You both came to Walmart from startups, right? So in some ways, you're really representative of the new face of Walmart, right? Digital, entrepreneurial, and we're gonna dive into sort of what that means and what you're trying to do. So Jenny, let's start with you here. You just launched a company, a startup out of Walmart's Incubator.
That's right.
So explain what that is. What is Jet Black, which is your new company?
Yeah, so we launched Jet Black about 6 weeks ago, and Jet Black is looking to address conversational commerce. So the idea that consumers will use their voice or text message to shop more and more in the future. So we're starting by addressing consumers in New York, and we're letting them shop for literally anything they want. We're seeing 3 categories of purchase. Someone can send a photo of something they want to buy, they can ask for a recommendation, or they can just ask to replenish something that they may have bought before. And we're servicing it all over text message, acquiring huge amounts of data that we can use to scale this over time.
So who are you targeting? Who's your target audience here?
Currently, we're targeting consumers in New York. A lot of them are parents because we find that's who can really take advantage of the service. Parents are buying a huge amount of items every day, and often they're items they need to research. So right now, if a customer is buying a stroller for the first time, they might read reviews, Q&As, mom blogs, forums. It's a really inefficient way to shop. If instead over voice or text message, they could actually ask questions directly about, does it have telescope handles, and what does that even mean? Does it fit in an overhead compartment when I'm buying this stroller? That's a more effective way to have a delightful consumer interaction.
Okay, so this is sort of a higher end concierge service in some way.
You know, I think Mark and I talk a lot about creating a service that feels too good to be true for a customer.
Okay.
And that's just kind of, I think, our entrepreneurial DNA and why we see eye to eye on a lot of things. And so we are doing just that. You know, we've targeted consumers in New York because they're actually spending the most money.
Makes sense.
They are also, so they're shopping frequently. So the amount of data we're able to collect across a large range of products is the richest. And that's the whole goal. We want as much data as possible so we can gather learnings and scale this over time.
All right, so Mark, let's turn to you for a second. How does this fit into broader strategy of what you're trying to do at Walmart?
Yeah, so the strategy at Walmart, the broader strategy has really got 3 components to it. One is just nailing the fundamentals. So we know we got a long way to go to get, what we call the 5 ITs. So do we have the product people want? Can they find it? Is it displayed with all the information they need? Is it priced right? And is it delivered fast and on time? We call those the 5 ITs, and we track that, pretty maniacally. It's called the CVI score.
Right.
And we've been making great progress against that. So that's kind of like the first part of the strategy. The second is really about playing offense. And this is utilizing Walmart's unique assets to do things that no one else can. Like, for example, same-day delivery to 90% of the population on the top 100,000 products, including fresh and frozen. So with Walmart's brick-and-mortar store network of 4,700 stores, we could hit 90% of the US with same-day delivery, and we just really started recently to ramp this up.
Right.
And it won't be long before we're doing most of the country with same-day delivery. So that's really about sort of playing offense. And the third part of the strategy is innovating for the future.
Right.
So while we're doing all that, we're also thinking about how to build companies that can help shape the future of retail and win, not today, but 5 or 10 years into the future.
So talk a little bit more about this. So you've got this incubator, right? So Jenny comes out of that. So what else can we expect? What's kind of the thought process here? What's
so the incubator is called Store Number 8. That's sort of the name we gave. That was the 8th store that Sam Walton started, where he did a lot of innovative things back in the day, and it was a nod to that innovative approach. And I think that DNA still lives today in Store 8. And it wasn't meant to be a sandbox, like an R&D type situation. It was really meant to incubate companies and startups and give them room to operate and run and build business as if they were independent, and focus on very specific areas of retail that we think are the future. And again, Code 8 was the first, and we think conversational commerce is going to play a big role in the future of retail.
Can you give us any hints of what else we might see coming out of the incubator?
Well, we talked about virtual reality before, and we bought a VR company, Spatial Land, and we think sort of in the next 5 to 10 years, conversational commerce is really going to take off. I think people shopping via text and voice in a very conversational way where it's much more personalized and there's really sort of one best answer for each individual. I think that's coming, and advancements in artificial intelligence will make this possible. And then that'll sort of bridge into virtual reality. If you could imagine having a conversation, but being able to experience products in sort of, very rich type experiences, like to see products in their native environment, that's definitely coming. And that may be 10 or more years out, but that's sort of the next stage of evolution. And then we've got a couple other startups that we've got as well that we haven't really talked too much about, that we will be soon.
Okay. Well, we'll be waiting for those. Jenny, can you talk a little bit about some of the learnings that you've developed so far? I mean, I know it's pretty new, but you're collecting data. What is some of that data showing you already?
Yeah, so I think the first learning was that shopping has become a chore for most people. So we talked to thousands of consumers in our target demo, which we identified to be largely parents initially in urban areas. And shopping is something they check off their list that they kind of bemoan having to do. They have to think and remember the need to buy something on a daily basis or a few times a day. And so gone is the ability for shopping to be delightful. Can it be magical? And I think Mark and I started off thinking about how do you reinvigorate shopping so that it does feel something that's enjoyable. Maybe you wind up with a product that's a better fit for what you actually wanted and needed. Maybe there's a reminder in a conversation that that product needs batteries to go with it. Maybe we paired you with a better running shoe than you would have found on your own. And I think to think about how conversational commerce can really enable some of those interactions and delight, as opposed to just having it be about cost, convenience, speed is some of the unlock we're trying to target with Jet Black.
Yeah. So you're not always fulfilling either from Walmart, right?
Customers can buy anything that they want. So we're really interested to learn what customers want and to also connect them with the best fit product for them. So if you were to ask me for a new dry shampoo for your hair, I would truly connect you with what is best for you as that particular customer and persona, and what is the product that we think from a merchandising perspective we think is most accurate for you. And I think that's where we'll generate the most data and learnings that can in time inform maybe new brands that Walmart either wants to acquire or how we just service a customer best.
Okay.
That was my last text, by the way.
Dry shampoo.
Yeah, no, I'm same.
Hitter.
So let's talk about some of the other ways that you mentioned brands, right? That maybe you might develop a brand on the line. I mean, in addition to the incubator, you guys have been on a little bit of an acquisition spree when it comes to brands. Bonobos, Monocloth. They're relatively small in the grand scheme of Walmart. How are you thinking about how they can really change the company? I mean, how does it fit into
the digitally native vertical brands?
Yeah, the digitally native.
Yeah, that's really a separate part of our strategy. I didn't really get into around how we're playing offense, but I do think in time there will be parity around. Well, we have parity pretty much around pricing now, with price matching pretty prevalent. Assortment is sort of the next big frontier of sort of parity, where basically everybody sells everything. And then of course the experience, everyone's racing towards same-day delivery, and I think we're set up really well to deliver on that experience given the store footprint I talked about. But how in the future you're going to differentiate in a world where the three core pillars of the value prop are at parity. And I do think proprietary product and assortment is going to be key. To have products that really resonate with millennial shoppers that can't be found anywhere other than Walmart. That I think is definitely part of the strategy. And how
it's also a form of personalization, right? So brands are just another way of connecting a consumer more efficiently with a product that they believe is going to be best fit for them and has reliability. And so we talk a lot about in conversational commerce, if you are asking to buy something over a voice interaction or over a text interaction, you can't possibly service thousands of results in the way you can see online. So personalization has always been important. It is now going to be ever more important, and brands are a nice tool to enable that.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we're sort of working backwards, to build on that point. If you look at other voice-enabled devices out there on the market today, you sort of are reluctant to ask it certain questions because you just assume it won't be able to track with you.
Right.
So as a result, you wind up sort of talking to it like a baby, right? And you don't really get to the actual questions that you want answered. And so we've sort of approached it from the other end and said, let's just keep it completely open-ended so we get all the questions in their purest raw form. Because we'll be able to respond to any type of request. So we're getting to see the full breadth of the types of questions people ask, the products they want to buy in a way that no one else can get to. So I think it's that rich data and the conversations that we're seeing that are helping us build a more intelligent AI.
Great. Okay, I'm going to get to questions in a second, but first, it is Amazon Prime Day, so I want to ask
It
you
is?
about. Yes. Yeah, I know. Probably shocking for you guys over at Walmart, but it is. Some new data just came out yesterday. I think Amazon is now approaching about 50% of U.S. e-commerce sales. You guys are about 4%. How do you catch up? How do you do that? Close that gap. Mark, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we're playing to our strengths right now. Like I said, we're making a big push towards same-day delivery of fresh, frozen, and everything in the big box. And that's a big area of growth for us right now. We grew over 40% last year. In the recent, quarterly call, I mentioned that we were on track for 40% this year. So I think, it starts with, high growth rates, but really, if we want to continue that, we have to deliver for the customer a value proposition that is something that no one else can match. And I think we have that in same-day delivery of fresh and frozen in 90% of the country. We're just sort of the early days of sort of ramping that up, but I think that's a big place where we're going to play offense and ultimately win.
I think you see everyone really believing in omni-channel, right? I know founding Rent the Runway, we started with clicks, we went to bricks, and now obviously Walmart is the reverse, but that synergy of how they can all come together and create this 1 + 1 = 3 opportunity for the consumer is really special, and obviously Walmart has the physical space to make that come to life in a magical way.
You can leverage the stores, right? So Mark, you have an interesting perspective. You sold your last startup to Amazon. So what is its biggest weakness, and how are you going to exploit it?
Yeah, like I said, the last company I sold was to Walmart.
True, the previous company, right?
And that's where I'm focused now. And I think, all I can tell you is I'm super excited to be a part of Walmart. And
we know that.
The assets at our disposal at Walmart are like nothing that I've ever experienced. I mean, 4,700 warehouses around the country within 10 miles of most of the population. That product's gotten there in full truckload quantity, so it's the most efficient way you could possibly get product that close to customers. And these 4,700 warehouses, oh yeah, by the way, they're already profitable. So when you think about the marginal cost to pick something from a forward deployed warehouse and deliver it to a customer, we can do it at a cost that no one can compete with. And that's really exciting, and that's why I was excited to come to Walmart. And
okay, no, we will. You didn't
know,
really.
like Doug has really empowered you. When Mark called me to take the role leading Jet Black, it was, I want to empower you, Jenny. I want to empower you, Jenny. Doug's empowered me. Like, this is a moment of innovation and change, and I think we're seeing that with so much amazing talent that's being brought into the organization and the growth in e-commerce. So, like, really empowering you to take a large part of Walmart.com or taking all of WalmartUS.com.
Yeah.
Grow it.
Okay, we'll come back. Do we have any questions in the audience? Do I see any? We have one up right here. If you could just wait for the mic, and if you could tell us who you are. 1 second.
Hi, my name is Donna Sharp. I'm here with MediaLink. And I think this is really interesting hearing you talking about the existing differentiation that Walmart has, especially given that Richard Liu from JD.com earlier today shared with us he believes that in the US-based market there is still a clear delineation between offline and online commerce. So how are you thinking about some of your innovations impacting the in-store offline shopper and how that changes that experience, as well as obviously you've got a lot of innovations for the e-commerce shopper?
Yeah, I think the lines are blurring. I mean, it was really clear in the past that there was sort of offline and online, and now that's not really the case. We have a massive pickup business and grocery that's growing every day where the orders are placed on your app and picked up at store. We've got pickup discounts being offered on long-tail products that is shipped from an FC to a store but ordered on your device. It's hard to even tell sometimes whether it's an e-commerce order or a brick-and-mortar order. And people come to the store to pick something up that's online, but then they're there and they wind up picking up groceries and stuff. And so we don't really think about it in terms of off and online. It's just one seamless experience. And we think that we're really set up well, given the store footprint. It's really about getting the fundamentals to where they need to be, and that's where we're really focused right now.
Do we have another question? I thought I saw one. No, okay. So I want to go, sorry, we do. Up front. Thanks, Jenny.
Hey, Matthew Giuffarian with the Miami Heat. Where are you guys finding the most success with digital marketing to acquire users?
I don't know, you want me to take that?
Yeah, you take that.
Okay. I think what's interesting is, I mean, all the traditional forms of digital marketing that you would expect, you know, Facebook and Google and the like, but we're actually having a lot of success, you know, brand building and doing things outside of digital and really leveraging the stores to do marketing. We just ran an app contest in store where we sort of did a sort of March Madness where we had the stores like form brackets and see who can get most customer downloads and things. And that's generated a lot of excitement and a lot of downloads. And so I think it's not just digital, it's really leveraging offline assets as well to do marketing, and that's working pretty well. As well as the TV too. We've really ramped up the TV advertising, and I think that's definitely paid dividends as well.
I think the ads on TV, to me, really just speak to the emotional connection that Walmart has with consumers and how it fits into their life and their world. And that is such an opportunity to lean into that emotional connectivity, and it's always been part of the founding mission statement of Walmart. I know for Jet Black, we're acquiring customers completely through word of mouth. That's like our entire strategy. That was for Rent the Runway. It's obviously the most cost-effective way to acquire people. It's also when you have a consumer behavior shift, such as going to text, going to voice, a really authentic way to answer all the questions that people have and get them comfortable with that.
Great. Oh, we've got one up here in the front. Sorry, if you could just wait for the mic. Oh, sorry, we've got one there. We'll go to you next. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, Linda Abraham from Missing Capital. From a marketing standpoint, I'm wondering how you're thinking about the brand. The brand, you know, Walmart stands for something and has for, you know, many, many years, economy shopping, that sort of thing. You know, Jet Black, on the other hand, as you get into conversational commerce, has a totally cool, millennial appealing name. Are you thinking about getting people to think about Walmart as the conversational commerce brand, or are you thinking about branding something like Jet Black? And how are you thinking about the recognition and what the brand means going forward?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, you know, the way we think about Jet and Walmart and the interplay is that Walmart, you know, is going to stick to the audience that it's always had, and the mission hasn't changed. It's save money so people can live better. I think some of the areas where Walmart had the lowest penetration were sort of the higher income urban areas like New York and San Francisco. And I think that's where Jet is now sort of repositioned to sort of play. And so we've sort of elevated the Jet.com brand to really focus on that higher income urban millennial. And we think the Walmart and Jet brands now complement each other really well, and they'll continue to complement each other even more as we sort of evolve the assortment on Jet. And I think Jet Black, you can add on top of this, but it's sort of just another layer of Jet, you know.
Yeah, and with, you know, ModCloth and Bonobos, like there are so many brands that make up this family of Walmart brands now that it's just showing how it's diversifying and targeting a broader set of a consumer.
So let me just ask a quick follow-up. So does Jet remain independent? Will Jet ever become subsumed by the bigger
No, it's a
Walmart
completely separate brand, and on the front end, it needs to be. On the back end, there are definitely synergies that we've taken advantage of, but from a customer-facing perspective, it's meant to be completely separate and targeting a completely separate, you know, demographic, and the marketing is completely separate, the brand is separate, and it will remain that way. Yeah.
Great. We had a question up front here.
Yeah, it's Bridget Van Kralingen from IBM. We had an interesting conversation earlier with Hoi Ling, who's the founder of Grab. She talked a lot about how hyper-localization has been a big part of their success, and I was wondering with Walmart's distribution and coverage, how you're thinking about and maybe pushing on hyper-localization.
Sure. I mean, one of the things we just did, we relaunched the Walmart.com website, and one of the things that we did do there was take advantage of the fact that we've got very detailed information at 4,700 points throughout the U.S., and leveraging what's happening in that local community and the products that are being bought and sold based on what's happening at that time, and making them, you know, showing them to consumers as they shop on Walmart.com, and that's worked really well for us, and it's definitely added that emotional connection that we were sort of missing before. So.
And it's the entire strategy behind Jet Black, right? So launching in New York and then eventually to other cities. But I think the virality of that word of mouth marketing is just really powerful when you target a specific area and you get to know that consumer base so incredibly well.
So I want to just go back to something you both have talked about a little bit, grocery and food. And it seems like in some ways a lot of e-commerce is being played out on this frontier. Why is that? What is so critical about grocery? Why is it so hard to get right?
Yeah, well, why is this? Well, it's
we know
critical. It's critical because it's the foundation of the relationship, and people
What do you
shop
mean by
grocery.
that? Just
Well, people shop groceries, once a week. So if you've got them pulling up your app every week to buy their groceries, that's a good position to be in to then, upsell and cross-sell everything in the long tail and all the general merchandise. So I think you definitely want customers shopping with you on a weekly basis. Why it's hard? It's hard because of, stuff goes bad.
Right.
And there's a lot of throws. And if you don't have the foot traffic and the turnover to keep stuff fresh, it becomes very costly. That's one of the biggest advantages Walmart has, is having fresh in thousands of locations with the foot traffic to already support the turns. It makes it very cost effective to do that sort of marginal pick for delivery out of those centers.
So how do you make that cost effective though? Because you are still, all of a sudden, you have to do the labor that the consumer was doing, right? Picking it off the shelf, taking it to their home, things they were doing before, and they don't want to pay for that.
Well, it's cost effective relative to online pure play.
Right.
So not cost effective relative to brick and mortar, but the business model is very different. So in brick and mortar, you're sort of making a low margin on fresh and a bigger margin on GM, and that's how it sort of balances out. Online, you're losing money on the head, and you're making all your money in the long tail. So the economics are different. So I think when we think about fresh, you got to look through the lens of a pure play online retail and how they would look at the P&L. And with respect to the margin on the head stuff, we can lose less money on the head, specifically fresh and frozen, than our competition because of the way we're set up. So we have a lower cost to serve. So if we have a lower cost to serve on the head, it puts us at a really good competitive advantage relative to upselling the tail products.
Jenny, how about at JetBlack? What are you seeing with food?
So right now we offer pantry items. We're not doing refrigerables, but stay tuned.
Okay.
I think part of the JetBlack theory is that if consumers can buy everything in one place, that is how the future consumer will shop. It's the most efficient way to consume. So you can literally text everything from a birthday gift for a 6-year-old to designer handbag to laundry detergent right now. And as we add pantry items and grocery, that will continue to just be more and more true. And so the data gets really rich. I think the frequency gets higher and higher, although we've been shocked about how frequently people are ordering even without cold chain grocery. And that just is what the staple that consumers keep coming back for. They constantly need it a couple of times a week.
Great. So I just want to end by asking both of you, what does Walmart look like in 5 years? Mark, maybe you'll start.
You love this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No, I mean, I think you could already see how this is starting to play out now. I think that we see where the puck's going. It's toward faster delivery times. 2 days used to be fast. Now people want same-day delivery, and I think we're set up really well to do that. So I think you're going to see us really invest pretty aggressively in same-day delivery.
So the table stakes have changed. Like that same day is now the...
Same in 5 years, same day will be table stakes. I do believe that. For at least the top 100,000 or so products, I think we're set up really well there. I think the move toward, conversational commerce playing a bigger part in how people shop, using voice, in car, in home, texting, being able to get much more personalized experience than you have today. I think that's definitely where it's going. And I think proprietary product in the long tail that's more interesting, that's really a reason to shop. I think Netflix proved that out and did an amazing job with proprietary content of creating a really important and key moat around their business. I think the same thing is likely to happen in retail. Maybe not so much in 5, but over the next decade or two, I think content is going to become even more important. When I say content, I mean unique product.
I think it all ties into time is the greatest luxury. And that's more true now than ever before, and I think it will only become more true. And macro trends like women working at higher rates than they have ever been before, and women are the primary decision maker and consumer online, will fuel the need for more efficient tools and services. So part of that comes into just being able to think of things last minute and get them last minute. We're training consumers that they can remember, oh, I need eggs, and 2 hours later I need milk, or 4 hours later I need a birthday gift for a child. And I think that's where conversational commerce can be very powerful, because you can kind of dump that mental load, if you will,
right,
of shopping to-dos.
Right. Mark, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.